Dupe Akinsun. She's a passionate and dynamic leadership development professional, equipped to help people acquire the information, insight, and inspiration required to help them maximize their potential. She's loaded, she's active a lot to the capacity building space through different initiatives with Coca-Cola and other platforms. She's a coach, she's a mentor, trainer, speaker, and I'm privileged to bring her on this platform. She's the head leadership and capacity center of expertise, Coca-Cola, and Modupe is a versatile woman research professional with over 11 years of continuous progressive practice in her field. She's the lead consultant with passionate pursuit company, a professional training and coaching company. I want to say a big thank you for giving us this opportunity and coming on our platform. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here, and well done for the amazing work you're doing.
If we're talking about digital tools for 21st century leaders, it means that if you're a leader, a line manager, a CEO, you lead from your family, you lead as a church leader, wherever you find yourself, it means that there are some certain digital tools you need to begin to use. So for me, what are some of the digital tools leaders can use to stay productive, amplify their message, and to reach out to more people in times like this?
I would say that so as much as technology is interesting, technology can also be a distraction. So I'm a preacher of focus. So I would say that the one tool that I know that I use, to stay productive is my Microsoft Outlook, for instance. Microsoft Outlook helps me, plan my time, and it helps me to pay attention also to my wellness. So for instance, on Microsoft tool, beyond the fact that I can book my calendars and do a lot of things, Microsoft Office also helps me manage my time such that when it is time, when I'm beginning to eat into my non-official hours, Microsoft Office lets me know that I'm beginning to eat into my, the time I need to spend for myself or on myself. So on my Microsoft Office, I get suggestions. I get suggestions from Microsoft Office on how to book time for me to focus. All right, because at this time, you see, a lot of things are going on. Organizations are rethinking productivity. They are rethinking business performance. They are thinking of how to maximize profitability. They are thinking of how to optimize their processes. They are thinking of how to engage and develop their people, motivate them, ensure that they have the right talent. They are thinking of, they are thinking of even the place of work. Should we be in a brick and mortar, kind of building, or should we go online fully? Or they are even rethinking their products. All right, should we still be producing so there's so much going on in the life of a CEO at this time, right? And so as much as there's a lot of demand on you, there is a need for you to ensure that you're not distracted, so that the time you have is properly managed in a way that not only are you productive, but you are well. Because there's a way we can, celebrate how much revenue a CEO makes, but then we don't pay attention to the wellness of that person. So I like the fact that we're talking about productivity. And personally speaking, I'm aware of different tools. I know some people use Evernote, some people use, depending on what works for you and the kind of gadgets you have. Because I know that there are certain tools as well that, work better or are available on certain stores and are not available on the other. So I would say that, Microsoft Outlook works for me pretty much, from setting up my meetings to helping me book time for me to rest. I book my lunch time on my Outlook. It gives me a daily update on how my previous daily activity was like, and it makes suggestion on how, the subsequent ones. It helps me prioritize my stakeholders. There's just so much you can do with Outlook, and I'm very comfortable with that. So I think I would say that people should find what works for them. I know that there are some organizations who use tools like Slack for their project management and communication, where people can, they can put all their projects in there. You can see your team members, you can see how they are progressing and track their performance or productivity per time. So I guess it's for us to find what works and then just make it work for you.
Always been said that leadership is influence, right? So if leadership is influence, how can a 21st century leader use digital platform to influence more people positively?
Okay, thank
Because
you for that.
many of the leaders are not really, so the way, I mean, when you look at an average pastor, for instance, are not really digital savvy, and then this pandemic came and everybody's looking at, oh, you can use this, you can use that, this will make you reach out to more people. So if we need to influence more people and we need to understand the culture about what is happening within our country or outside our country, how do we influence using those digital platforms?
So the thing is, I mean, you're right. All right. Leadership is influence. And when we talk about influence, influence means the ability to have an impact on someone's behavior, someone's mindset, on a process or anything. So that's what leadership is about. So leadership is simply the ability of an individual to have an impact on someone or some process or any of those. Now, the question is, how does digital media come to play? Now, one of the principles, according to John Maxwell, one of the principles of an effective leader is the ability to communicate. So communication, you can't just say, I'm a leader. If you don't communicate, communication is a leverage, is a tool for influence, right? You cannot keep quiet, you cannot be silent, you cannot be obscure and say that you are a person of influence. They don't go together, okay? So digital media, on the other hand, is, when you look at media, what does media mean? Media means a means of communication, a medium of communication. So digital media is using technology as a means of communicating. All right. So when you talk about, leadership at this time, influencing more people, the truth is the world has gone digital. So you have to meet your audience right where they are. So if you want to influence people, this is not the time where you say you want to gather millions in one space, right? So you need to ask yourself, what is that platform that can give me the access to the biggest number or to the largest number? What is that platform that can give me access to my audience? Because you need to know where your audience is, all right? So whether your audience are on Snapchat or TikTok or on LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram, you need to know where your audience is, right? And once you know who your audience is and where they are at, then you use digital tools to reach them, to communicate with them so that you can influence them. And this is where thought leadership comes in, all right? Thought leadership is you using, your insights, your information, your data, your stories, all right, to influence people's behavior, using appropriate media of communication.
For a lot of shakings and pandemic that has happened with disruption in many industry, what will you say, if you were to look at it, what are some disruptions that you see happening in the nearest future for leaders to prepare themselves against what happened to many of us? I mean, so many people didn't know this was going to happen. So how do we plan for future reference, because many things are still going to happen in different industries? So how can leaders plan, and what are some of the things you're projecting based on the fact that you're an expert in this field that is likely to happen, and how can people, leaders, prepare for this?
So let me tell you, so the biggest disruption I see happening that I think entrepreneurs or business owners should be aware of is that there's going to be a switch in role. And what do I mean by that? A time is going to come where the employees today are the bosses tomorrow. Now, I'm not necessarily saying that everyone is going to start a business. I'm not necessarily saying that everybody is going to become a CEO in that sense. But what I'm saying is the employees at some point are going to call the shots because of increased freelancing. So a lot of people are reskilling themselves. A lot of people are becoming better at what they do. A lot of people are becoming more aware of opportunities, cross-border opportunities. A lot of people have started to leverage technology to provide solutions to organizations and individuals, irrespective of their geographical location. So a time is going to come where the employees today are the ones calling the shots. They are the ones deciding whether or not they want to work with an employer or not. So it's not going to be the market, or it's not going to be the game of the employers no more. It's going to be a game of, do I want to work with you? Not, do you want to hire me? Do I want to? So the employees are going to be the one choosing. And that puts a lot of demand on business owners today, not to trap people, but to have attractive, effective talent attraction strategies, because the best people are going to go for the best organizations to work with, whether on a full-time or a freelance basis. Other than that, what I would challenge every business owner to begin to do is to self-disrupt. You see, the biggest preparation is not that you know the kind of change that will happen, because change is unpredictable. That is why it is you will not be able to predict the kind of change that will happen 5 years from now, 10 years from now. But what you can be comfortable with is change is constant. So the last of the change we're going to see is not the one COVID has brought. There are lots of changes that will still happen. But the way to prepare for those is when organizations begin to disrupt. What do I mean by self-disruption? It is you challenging your status quo. Okay, you have always produced this kind of product. I mean, you see different organizations, over the time. I mean, Samsung did not start as a phone company. Samsung, at the time, they were producing TVs, right? But now the question is, are you changing with the times? So your ability to quickly adapt, your agility to change, your ability to self-disrupt, your resilience, all of those things you need to begin to practice. Can you change something as an organization, right? Someone said that, technology is no longer an enabler. Technology has become the business. So how do you evolve to become technology? How do you evolve, to become relevant, to become prepared, mentally speaking, and how do you become that learning organization that is always disrupted? A friend of mine, and I quote, said, if your environment is changing faster than you are changing, after a while you will go into extinction. If your environment is changing at a faster pace than you are changing, so environmental, speaking, if competition is changing faster than you're changing, as a business owner, you're about to go extinct. If the economic environment is changing faster than you are changing, your consumer changes, you're not observing those things, and all those things happening outside you. If those things are changing and you're not changing even faster than they are changing, then extinction is the next level, is the next reality for such business.
Wow. What will be your final word for everyone in here?
I would say that, what? Change is a constant thing, all right? Change is not meant or designed to be scary. Change is actually to build resilience in you and cause you to be agile, you're right, in responding to change, whatever kind of change, that might happen. So embrace change, love change, and be the change. I was listening to a podcast earlier today, and the question or the reflection I took from it is, are you driven by change or are you driving change? You want to be a change driver. You don't want to be driven by change. So become the disruption in your industry. Become the disruption in your organization. Self-disrupt. Disrupt yourself. Change something about yourself today. There's something I tell people. I do something often. I change my wardrobe. You can't come into my wardrobe, for instance, as basic as that, because how you do one thing is how you do a lot of things. I try to change something about me. I shouldn't be the same person you met 2 years ago. Something should have changed about me. All right, add to yourself on a constant basis. Be the change that you want to see. Thank you so much for having me, Sam. It's
wow,
such a pleasure.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.